when you were sharing what a typical day was like for your students, what you said was so interesting and so eloquent. I just felt like I wanted everybody in the world to hear it. Because I felt like if everybody understood what a typical day looked like in Jackie Lynn's classroom, who wouldn't want that for their child? That's how I felt.
This year, I can tell you what a typical day looked like this past year, but it's going to change a little bit because we're planning on working with preschool more, where there will be more interaction and more crossing of children. A typical day starts with the children coming in between 8:10 and 8:30 in the morning. Usually there's some kind of independent project. Of course, they're greeted and they're very excited to share what they did the night before or whatever they're interested in the morning. There's an independent kind of activity. Sometimes it's puzzles, sometimes it's putty, sometimes it's just looking at the books that they've chosen for the week until about 8:30. At 8:30, everybody's here, hopefully, and we do our yoga for about 20 minutes every morning. We've been lucky enough to have someone actually guide us through that. Then we start our calendar. We start out the year very simply, talking about the days of the week, helping them kind of gain an understanding of what's yesterday, what's tomorrow, what's today, kind of thing. Talk about the weather a little bit. Usually pattern is involved with our calendar. As the year progresses, it gets more and more detailed, where we're dealing with the hundreds chart and we're reinforcing number concepts and pattern concepts and eventually moving into money and time. But again, it's all based on what the children on a whole are ready for. This is also a time when we might just have a sharing of emotions or excitement or in the children's own individual life. All of that takes no more than a half hour. And we take a break, get some movement in, maybe get a drink, use the restroom, just to get them moving around a little bit. And then we take the next block of time for our language arts. And it's not necessarily the decoding part of our day, but it's more of poetry and writing. And sometimes it can just be reading some information, depending on what we're working on and what they are ready for. Journaling is part of that time as well, where we're journaling about a topic or they're given a story starter. Usually then we have a snack and move into our specialists. Art specialists twice a week or music specialists twice a week. It's lunchtime after that, and we have a good half hour for recess as well. We come back in, and that's what we call our quiet reading. And it is a quiet time for about 20 minutes, where the children, even if they're not reading, they're picture reading. And we introduce them to that right off the bat, right at the very beginning, how you can tell a story looking at the pictures, so that they're perceiving themselves as being real readers. During that time is when I pull little groups, small groups, for reading horizons, which is when we work on our decoding skills, our letters, our sounds, our sliding sounds together. Eventually it moves into spelling and dictation, although we work on that throughout the entire day as well, but that's where it's really very much direct instruction. After that, we move into a more formalized math time, where we talk about numbers and number relations and patterns and symbols, and we do that through a variety of ways. It may be playing a game, it may be doing a worksheet, it may be taking a walk and noticing mathematical things around us. After that, again, we take a little bit of a movement break and move into probably one of the most important times of the day, and that's our work time, which is also the children's favorite time during the day. We have centers set up in our classroom and outside our classroom as well, and this is the time where they choose a center, they choose something to work with, they decide what they're going to use that material for and who they're going to work with. It starts out as maybe an oral plan where they'll be just thinking of, I'm going to go to the large construction area, and then it moves into being more complicated and more detailed, where they're not just telling you, but they're actually writing it down through a variety of ways. We do our work time for about an hour, and when it's time to clean up, we come back on the rug and do our reflection time, where we talk about our work time, what worked well, what didn't work very well, how we would change whatever activity we were doing. By that time, it's more or less the end of the day, and we usually this year had a chapter book going, and this is usually for kindergartners, first graders, one of their first experiences with chapter books, where they just get to sit down or lay down and I read to them. This year we read two of my favorites, Charlotte's Web and Mr. Popper's Penguins, which they absolutely loved. At that point, it's time to go home. This year, because we're working more closer with the preschool, we're hoping to have more or less the same schedule. Of course, expectations grow with kindergarten and first grade, but we're hoping to be able to still have a language block, a math block that are the same, where we can start, as the year progresses, start mixing children. Work time, we definitely want to be able to do that as soon as possible as well.